Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. John Oda, and I am with Kathy K. And she came all the way from Portland, Oregon, to give us some feedback. She is a bestseller author. She has published over 700 books that have been bestsellers. And when I met her about a month or so ago, maybe 2 months, I wanted to have her on the show. So, Kathy, explain to people who you are. And of all industry, why did you get inside the public? And why did you get inside is publishing books? Can you please tell me
Well, thank
more?
you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Um,
Absolutely.
so a little bit about what I do. I make best-selling authors. I have a 100% success rate because it is the number one most impactful thing you can do for your business to be a best-selling author. So that's what I do. How I got into this. So in 1997, the 1900s, back when we had square wheels and no electricity, I started out in internet design, web design and business development. And I helped people build businesses online, everything from sales funnels and their branding and everything else, whatever they needed to do business online. And I had always dreamed, kind of in the back of my mind from the 80s, I'd always dreamed of publishing a book. And I did my own book in 2009. And I realized it's absolute fire in marketing. So then I turned to my clients and I'm like, do you have a book? We need to make it a bestseller. Do you have a book? We need to make it a bestseller. And they said the same thing. All of them said, I've been meaning to, I haven't gotten around to it yet. Sound like anybody?
So,
Yeah.
okay. So let's go backwards. So I wrote two
Mhm.
books myself, right? I wrote a book on parenting teenagers back '06, and I wrote a one called Life's Garden back in '16, right? My books was never bestsellers, right? So you said yes, 700. What was the difference between one? I mean, people bought my book. I probably got maybe the first book, probably like 9,000 people bought it. Don't get me wrong, but it was never a bestseller. It got maybe the top 100, top 40. I one time saw a top 30. I was like, woohoo! I'm going to hit it. But of course, that never hit. I mean, so 100%, 700. What makes your system completely different? And I see systems on the market now going for crazy amount of money. We're talking about crazy amount of money.
Mhm.
What makes yours different from everybody else's?
So I built this system from scratch from a VIP day I had with Mary Bicknell. She said, can you do this? I said, yes. Can you do that? Yes. Can you interview someone, turn it into a book? Yes. Can you publish that book for them? Yes. Can you make it a bestseller? Yes. Can you guarantee it? I think so. Yes. And what it comes down to, the difference in my formula is just marketing. I am focused on making you a bestseller. You need to have a quality product, and everything is geared towards what are you leveraging the book to do? First and foremost, you need to be a bestseller. And then, secondly, what are you going to leverage the book to do for your ideal client? How are you going to reach them? Are you going to turn it into an online program? All that kind of stuff. We look at that from the beginning. And so when you're strategic and it's the marketing behind it, it's the categories it's in, it's the ideal client that it's made for, it's the social media marketing, which my social media is basically geared towards books. So I can drop any book into my system and make it a bestseller, guaranteed, because I've been building this system for a while. So
And
that's the difference. A lot of people, they have a system similar. They've kind of gleaned from this, that, or whatever, but they don't know why they do what they do or things that they might be missing. I created all the little pieces of this system based on what is best for you. People don't know that they're messing up their opportunity to be a bestseller. The numbers you just gave me should be number one bestsellers easily, but they're not placed well. There's something in the settings that's not done well that is ideal for setting you up for success. So if I were to look at the back end of your books, I could probably go tick, 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 poof, instant bestseller.
and I think you hit on a great point: is systems, right? And even when I work with companies, if businesses doesn't have the right systems, the business is not going to grow. I never thought about that same system strategies when it comes to books. I'm just thinking, you write the damn thing, you put it out. Hopefully that your family and friends and more people will read it, and hopefully to go to the library and go to Barnes and Noble, and you can do book signings. And I'm like, oh God, I'm making, because I mean, on my first book, I was doing book tours. I had 20 cities book tours. I mean, we sold out of all. I mean, of all of them. And people was buying books or signing books. I'm like to myself, wow, I'm gonna be a bestseller. No, but I think you mentioned the right thing. I didn't have a system. I didn't have the marketing system down for a person who actually done this, created this, and now is making this for everyone to actually see and actually understand. When I first wrote my first book, right, it was called Connected with Your Team. That took me a year and a half to write it.
Mm.
Now, this is back in the old days, '09, '06, right? Well, maybe I started in 2000, right? Well, maybe it took me even longer, right? But man, I was typing that book out, writing that book out, and all my head had so many edits and so many, oh God, it was I believe that I just have so much persistence and I had to get done, right? And I know that a lot of people write books a little bit differently, was it 15, 16 years later, right? And so is there an easier way to write a book? Because I know there's a lot of people out there who want to write a book. And I believe that everybody should write a book, to be truly honest with you. I think everybody have a story. Everybody have a products and stuff to actually sell. What is the difference between the old way I used to type 3 or 4 pages per day for 90 days, and then I had my book? Is there any simpler way out there to actually get a book done these days?
Absolutely. So first, let me just circle back around to a really great point you made, is that you said everyone should write a book, everyone has a story. And I don't know that that's 100% true of 100% of the population, but anyone who has a business or a message to share or wants to have an impact absolutely needs to write a book. Seth Godin once said, I would rather hire the plumber who wrote the book on it than just a regular plumber. And think about that. It might be that this other plumber is 5 years new in the business, but we know what he stands for because he wrote a best-selling book on it. This guy's been doing it for 30 years, has no interest in writing a book, but we have no idea what he stands for. So stand out in the crowd, you got to have a book. And it's becoming a minimum standard now. And is it easier than ever? Absolutely. So for the last, what has it been, 12 years, I've been teaching people how to write their book and publish it in 9 weeks. But now we have ChatGPT and AI to use as an assistant, and it speeds it up so much faster. We still put it into the container of 9 weeks, but legit, people have gotten their books done in a weekend. We're now running the beta test program. We're in week 5. I have a couple of students. One student has 2 books done. The other one has 3 books done. Most people are nearly finished, or it's already off to the editor, because having the assistance of AI speeds it up exponentially. ChatGPT is so brilliant that when you can give it the specific prompts, you know exactly what it needs to know to be the exact kind of editor you want. It will go through and make sure that the commas are in the right place, that the sentence structure is correct, and it just polishes it up so nicely. It's still your work, your idea.
Are you talking about ChatGPT now?
Yeah. Like, we've gone from just doing it in 9 weeks as a head down, elbows up, get it done kind of concept to easy breezy with ChatGPT. Same formula, but sped up with ChatGPT. Still your
I guess I'll go back to what you just said. You gotta have a system.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I use ChatGPT all the time. I really do. I love GPT. I can't make it sing the way that you make it sing, right? I can't make it do what you make it do. It has to be a system based on how to actually get those results being done. Right? For someone to write a book in 9 weeks and become a bestseller, and you're right, every business should have one, because every business have their own philosophy. They should really put that out, and their values and everything else. When you don't, it's almost like business coaching, right? You can go to anybody with business coaching, but if someone had a book about it, and a system on it, and now they're teaching it, well, you would want to go to them more so than like anybody else, because now you can actually touch it feel it, and actually beat it up. So, a question: how long have you been doing Chat GPT? I mean, have you been doing it for a long time? Is it is it
So
a
I was
different
one of the
model?
first people. I was one of the first people in it when they did the 24-hour announcement, and everybody was jumping in, and they were like, "It's only been 24 hours, and there's like 200,000 people have joined," and I'm like, "Oh no, I better jump in. I don't want to miss out. I don't want to be on a waiting list." So I immediately got in and just registered and kind of was checking out what it was about, and I played with their image program and was trying to do a few things, and I thought it was pretty cool. And that was like I don't know, what was that, like before Christmas 22, I think, so a little over a year. And then about 6 months ago in August, July, August, I had the opportunity to start using it on client books. I offered them the opportunity that if they would be willing to test this with me, that I would give them a discount and just be willing to work with me. In the end, I could always guarantee them an old school bestseller. It's perfectly fine. But would you allow me to test this out in ChatGPT? Yes, they were very happy to. I had one client in particular who actually had a stroke and teaches stroke victims now, how to survive and live a full life. So she was having some issues with writing, and we used Chat GPT to assist with that. So it was in a genuine uh, way to test it and test this out and really be able to hone in on what are the correct prompts to use, how do we get it to do what we want it to do. I've been testing it for about 6 months, and now the
So now,
last.
let me get this right. I have a question for you. I'm so sorry
Yeah,
to interrupt you. Here's a question.
sure, right ahead.
I'm using Chat GPT,
Hmm.
and it's still my stuff. It's not Chat GPT stuff.
Right, it's absolutely yours.
Because I know, like a lot of people, like I saw with college, kid wrote a paper, and the professor hated it because he said it was pushing because it was not his content, it was not his stuff. But he says, where to use it? He says, I got used on Chat GPT. So I'm thinking that you can't use GPT like that. And with the system that you have right now says that, yeah, you can if you ask it the right questions.
Right.
Is
So
that what I'm hearing you say?
yes, so I'll take you to Amazon. Amazon has now in their submission form, you have to declare if your work is AI generated. They are
Sure.
very clear about their definition between AI assisted and AI generated. AI assisted is if it provides you prompts, ideas, feedback, editing, punctuation, restructures a sentence that you created originally. Any of that is assisted. By the way,
I got you.
Word, Grammarly, Otter, your phone, all of that's AI assisted as well. Gmail is assisted. All of that is AI assisted. So we've had that around for a long time. AI created is when you tell ChatGPT, write me a story about two robots who fall in love, make it 23 pages, include this, that, whatever. And then it makes up something from scratch. Or if you want
I
to write a
got it.
paper and you say, tell me in this many words the history of, and it will spit out the history of something that already existed. But our authors have unique ideas, unique formulas, unique stories, and the AI assistance just polishes it, makes it easier and quicker to do. It'll give you like a suggested table of contents structure that's like, because if you've never written a book before, what is the ideal structure of a table of contents? And it will just spit it out for you. And then you go fill in the blank. I like this. I don't like that. Oh, I'm going to put my story in here. But it's still you, it's still your content.
So I see. So what you're saying is that you're doing the Chat GPT assistance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, I put my concept in, my strategy in, I write it all out, and I say, okay, do X, Y, and Z, do make it grammarly correctly, the whole 9 yards. And what happens is they spit it out, but it's still your same concept, your same philosophy, and then you're saying the meaning that you're going to get regardless.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And a follow-up to that, the question that people often ask is it going to steal my content? No, it's not going to steal your content. And I'll give you two reasons why. One, you can set ChatGPT to a private setting where it only keeps your information for you for 30 days and then deletes it completely after that and does not share it with anyone. So it won't file any of your stuff away as information that it's learning from. That's the first part. Secondly, even if you did allow it to have everything, which I usually do for myself, but don't do for students, because I don't care. I want ChatGPT to learn from it. But the thing is ChatGPT is going to gather all of the best sources. So if you ask it a question about coaching, it's going to go to the thousands of sources it has in coaching, and it's going to say, this one thing was repeated most often. This is what I'm going to offer you. This thing was repeated most often. This is what I'm going to give to you. But it's taking an aggregate of a whole bunch of things. It's not going to take just one thing unless you specify. Give me the first paragraph of Lisa Nichols' book, Abundance Now. It will. But if you ask it, give me a paragraph on abundance and how to live your life better, it's going to take information from across thousands and thousands and thousands of sources. So it's not going to zero you out unless someone zeroes you out. And it doesn't keep your information unless you want it to. Most people don't want it to. That's fine.
Here's the biggest difference. Mm-hmm. You've been doing this for the last year and a half on ChatGPT. Mm-hmm. Like for myself, I started back in July, August of last year. And you already was dabbing and dipping into it and knowing you. I still got the free version, right? And you probably spending, the $20 a month, having every avenue and every concept and every strategy to play with it to make it your own. And I think that's one of the biggest differences. I think we see stuff like on the internet about these college kids doing what you say. Hey, ChatGPT, write me a paper on 1921, the history of everything. Mm-hmm. And they write 4 pages and it's not even theirs. It looks good. It's spewed out, but it's not theirs. Mm-hmm. What you're saying is, listen to me. I got a concept. I got a strategy. Here's what I have. Here's what's taking place. We'll throw that bad boy in, make it look a bit better. Give me some suggestions. Work on the grammar. Work on the sentence structure. Because when I did my first book, I swear, man, I had 7 rewrites. Mm-hmm. Oh my God! When I first wrote my book, it was so many red marks. I thought I was back in high school again. And I'm like, man, it was just bleeding. And I'm like, I'm not going to do it. It took me about 6 months just to do it again. Because it was just bleeding like, oh my God. It was like, damn, I write that bad? Because that's what you're thinking, right? But I have to say that you mentioned a great point. I never thought of it. Every business should have a book out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What do you stand for? What do you want to be known for? What's your signature thing? Why are you somebody's ideal person for that? Like, there are over 8 billion people in the world. They can't all be your client. Who are your people? And how do you let them know that you're for them? And there's no better way than to have a best-selling book to stand out in the crowd. This is who I am. This is what I stand for. This is my concept. This is,
Or better yet, your philosophy. What people understand, when you become a bestseller author, when it comes to the speaking world, right? They're paying you $25,000 to $50,000 just to be on that damn stage because you're a bestseller author. And what people understand, it's literally instant credibility. Like, what do you? Oh, yeah, I'm an author. No. I'm a best-selling author. I'm like, oh, really? And it's a big difference. We have authors out there. 1% to 2% of the people are authors, right? Mm-hmm. But we have very, very few best-selling authors. And you see more of the big guys, like, the Tony Robbins and the Chet Holmes and all those, the bigger guys who understand your system, but it's not sharing it to anybody. Yeah. They're keeping it to themselves so they can monopolize and control what's going on. And listen to me. I love Tony Robbins and Chet Holmes. I work with those guys, love them to death. Don't get me wrong. but they never showed us a system of how to become bestsellers. What they did was you saw them being bestsellers and X, Y, and Z, and they're on TV, they're on the news and everything else, and they're showing their philosophies and their strategies, which is really solid. Don't get me wrong, but they have now a person like yourself who can share that concept, who can share that strategy.
And it's always been a system. It's always been a formula. If you like the publishing industry, the traditional publishing industry hasn't changed since the 1800s. They put out a product. It's no different than making a door stopper or a widget. They put out a product, they want to make a profit. They have a marketing system. It is marketing. Most people don't know that New York Times bestsellers are absolutely 100% rigged. They think that it's gospel. It's not gospel. It's rigged. It is marketing. It is advertising. It is backroom handshakes and deals. There are books that are listed that have never been sold or nobody's ever read it before it becomes a bestseller. Like, really? But Amazon levels the playing field. Like, to be an Amazon bestseller, you just have to have the numbers. To have the numbers, you got to have the marketing. And to have good marketing, you have to have a system.
So when you say Amazon have a different system than the New York bestseller list and X, Y, and Z, right? Mm-hmm. What makes it is different, and how many books do you have to sell, or how many books do you have to sell to become a bestseller? Because I'm thinking, and I still think is it has to be at least 10, 15, at least about 500,000 books to be a bestseller. Because I mean, that's just my craziness. And I wrote 2 books, and I think that crazy way. And I'm looking at you, and you're like saying, no, it does not. All right, preach to me then.
Yeah, so I'm glad to show you behind the curtain, tell you everything. So the difference being, New York Times. I'll give you a great example. I won't name drop, but I'll say somebody very well known. Somebody wrote their well, okay. I think it's public knowledge anyway. So Lisa Nichols wrote her 7th book, Abundance Now. It was a big hit. She published it with HarperCollins, which is the #1 largest publisher in the world. It had a big launch. It was supposed to launch with Steve Harvey until he had his, little oopsie at the Miss Universe pageant. She sold 60,000 copies in 1 week, which is enough to win her the #3 spot in her category for New York Times. But New York Times excluded her book. And they don't have to give a reason. They've never given a reason. They never will give a reason. They don't have to. So when New York Times, LA Times, Chicago Tribune, when they make a list, they buy the ratings from Nielsen Book Ratings, which shows how many copies of what book were sold for that week. They choose from that list what they want to list. So they can absolutely exclude people. I've even seen them take the credentials away from very young authors who sold their stuff at Comic-Con, went out there and hustled for it. And then they said, we're removing the bestseller seal and you can't use that anymore. It's kind of ruthless. So the difference being on Amazon, it's a level playing field. If you've got the numbers, then you're on the list. They can't exclude you because they just don't like you that week. It's just numbers. There are certain books that are almost always in the top 10, like The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. It's been out for years, almost always in the top 10 or 20. It fell off the New York Times list a long, long, long time ago. But on Amazon, it's always recommended in the bestsellers because it's earned that spot. That's how many people have bought the book. That's how many people have downloaded it in the last hour. On Amazon, the numbers are very different. So if you're in a top category, like let's say all of self-help, and self-help could be self-help sports, self-help medicine, self-help religious, self-help Buddhist, whatever, self-help, you need to sell about 16,000 copies in a day to be in the top 10. 16,000 in a day. Now, if you narrow that down, religious, medical, cancer, because your story is about breast cancer. You help patients who are going through breast cancer come out the other side and how to live life. That's the category they're going to go looking in. Those are the keywords they're going to be searching for. It's going to more easily be landing right in the top search results. And you only need to sell about 100 to 200 books a day to be in the top 10 of that category. That's the difference. You got to zero in on who your ideal market is. You got to be where the people go. Because all of self-help is really competitive.
It is.
Everything.
It is.
But if you zero in on your ideal client and your ideal category,
it's a big difference.
That's
because mine was self-help. Mine was a self-help book, and I went through what I was. I mean, when I got in my top 30, I was pumped up. I was like, man. And I'm like to myself, if I used your strategy, I would have been the bestseller. You know, I mean, top 30 doesn't make you over.
Yeah.
I mean, top 30 was great, but it just doesn't make you nothing. You know, so that's very. So, tell me about your program. I mean, I know that you're in a beta test now for 5 weeks, and I know we talked earlier that you're trying to do a new program. Tell me about your program right now. What's different? What do it offers? Give me the good, the bad, and the ugly.
It's so exciting. I love when this happens. So I'm really excited because we already had the successful, well-proven 9-week bestseller formula. Now we added AI. And so the beta test program has gone so well. I have a waiting list who have been like, okay, I couldn't do the beta program, but I'm ready now. I'm ready now. And so we're launching the next one as of officially the 11th of February, just days away, 11 days from now. And right now we have an early bird special of 30% off until Monday the 5th. And then it will decrease after that because we're tick, 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 just 11 days away. But I'm so excited because it's the 9-week formula, but on steroids with AI. It's producing better quality books. It's producing less stress for authors. And I'm thrilled about how we're putting these two things together. And already, like, my authors have seen increase in their business just in talking about their books, not even having them done yet. So I love it.
So what are they offering? They're going to get a book out, which is great. They're going to get bestseller, which is going to be great. What else? Or do they get anything else besides that?
So we guarantee a bestseller. That's important.
Okay.
It's not just, I'm going to teach you and maybe you will, maybe you won't. No, I guarantee it. My reputation's on the line.
So it's a guarantee bestseller.
Yep. I put my
everybody with a great book, best-selling book. Okay. That's number one.
Yes. Okay. Follow my formula.
And number two is that within 9 weeks, the book will be done.
Yes.
Even sooner sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I've even had people change halfway through and go, no, I know the real book I need to write, and just change and do a whole new book. It really does. I've seen people do a book in a weekend. It's not rocket science because it's already stories you tell. It's teaching you already do. I just have to get it from your head to paper. And when we have the prompts that I already have combined with ChatGPT, you get quality content. In addition to that, my partner that just came on, Tanya Brockett, has been in traditional publishing and was a college professor for writing and has done editing for all of eternity. Like she's big deal in that industry. And she's joining me, and her specialty is the editing portion. So she put her magic sauce into our prompts that we put into ChatGPT, and it up-leveled the quality of content that's coming out exponentially. I just can't even tell you, day and night difference. So you get a best-selling book, and in addition to that, you get 3 months of marketing coaching, because that's my background. I love marketing. And then you also get the How to Turn Your Book into an Online Course bonus. And that's only for the new people coming in on the 11th. So they get to, after they've created a bestseller, turn it into an online course that generates 100K plus. That's my goal for you.
So let me get this right. So I'm going to get this right because it's unreal. Because my God, geez. And here's the unreal part, right? So write the book in less than 9 weeks. You're going to best-selling author, which is, for speaking world guys, it's crazy money. But then an online course based on the book and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So now with the online course, you can charge, you have group coaching, you can do X, Y, and Z and make some more crazy money. So now you have really 3 revenues of income coming through. You got the book that's like a CD, right? Then you have a bestseller if you're doing seminars and workshops, even speaking anywhere, or even on stage, you're gonna make some crazy amount of money.
Mm.
Then you have an online course that if people would get your book, but now you can actually talk to them about your philosophy and your strategies, and now it's more of an intimate coaching now. It's not just a book they're reading. Now they can focus strictly on them, how to actually get them out better.
Mm. Well, see, so my background, like I was saying earlier, is really in online business and marketing. So I look at a book differently. I look at it as a tool. It is the beginning of the conversation, not the entirety. It is just a sampling of you. It is just enough that they're like, ooh, I really like him. I really like her. This resonates for me. Oh, I have a little bit more belief. I have, an idea of where I'm headed to. But then they're going to end the book and say, I need more of him. I need more of her. I need more of this. I want to be able to do something big in my life. The best way to do that is an online community or an online course. And the easiest way for you to change people's lives is an online course. And it's not difficult once you've done the book, because then we just take the book and expand on it. So now you've got a course based on your best-selling book you can charge top dollar for.
Complete.
And you don't have to reinvent the wheel, because it's basically your book, but 10x. It's just up-leveled. So, and nowadays, getting on stages, in some arenas, it's become a minimum standard that you have to have a best-selling book in order to speak on certain stages. And getting into television, much easier with a book. But then once you get into television or you get on a stage, what do the people have to purchase? If they have an online course to go to based on your best-selling book, well, that's a no-brainer. Now you really get to have communication with them. You get to change lives, move them forward, and fill your bank account and bless people with the overflow. So I break our courses down with the intent of you making a minimum of $100,000 a year. If you do that in a shorter period of time, good for you. But that's what I look at for a profitable course based on your best-selling book.
And I think that your numbers are a little bit lower than mine would be. Because if you're a best-selling author and do the right thing, so you can charge premium prices. But if they're not charging premium prices now, it would be hard for them to actually charge it for right now. But $100,000 would be great. Listen to me. This was educational for me. And I even wrote 2 books. And I'm like, this is lovely educational for me. And the way that you use ChatGPT and AI with your own systems in place and everything else. So I have a question for you. How can they get to you? How are you going to put a link down is below about what's taking place, about the 30% discount? I mean, we can do that so people can actually get it, because, I'm going to throw this out to everybody, because I never thought about a business doing a book, to be honest with you. That's a great.
I can absolutely give you the link.
Okay.
I can pop that in the chat. But also, to find me anywhere in social media, it's Kathy K Books. So Facebook, Kathy K Books, TikTok, Kathy K Books, Instagram, Kathy K Books, any of those things.
Well, at least you got the same branding for everything.
Yeah, really lucky that way. Also,
yeah.
That's my Calendly link if you want to book a chat with me. So I put it in the chat, but it says private chat. I'm not sure if it went.
No, matter of fact, send it to me, and then when we get done, it'll jump back up, and then I'll just put it inside the chat. That's not
okay. It's a longer URL because it includes the discount code, but I think people are going to want the discount code.
I mean, 30%. Come on. No, I have a question for you now. Do you have a payment plan? Do you have anything else like that, or how does that work?
We do have an option for a payment plan. It's less than 30% off, but
Okay.
to get the full 30% off, which is very reasonable. It's an extremely reasonable price. Our competitors are like 3 to 5 times as much. In fact, we have competitors that do this for $50,000 a year. It's insane, and they just stretch it out for a full year, and it's just for me. It's just not a part of my formula and philosophy, and it's just not necessary. It's just
And,
not.
and I think that's one of the biggest things about it, right? That's not your philosophy. And you're right. I saw books going out there for 10, 20 times as much as you're charging. When I
Absolutely.
saw your prices, I was like, this is it? Are you okay? I mean,
That's why I have 700 best-selling authors.
exactly. I mean, I'm like, are you okay? Because I was approached by a person that wanted me to pay 25,000, and that was just for the book and to be a bestseller. And I'm like, 25,000 is a lot of money. Oh, we can, you can get a loan, you can do this. I mean, they had all the great strategies of what to do, but it's a lot of money to still invest in that, right? But if it was more affordable, you'd like, okay, and then you guarantee it. It's like, why not? It's worth it.
Because
So
I
get
do
it,
that. And it is that easy. And so it doesn't have to be all that. Now, we also do this for people. That's how it started. Is I do, like, we can go from interview to bestseller for somebody, and they don't do anything except just show up and give me your brilliance. That is a higher price point because we're doing all the heavy lifting. We're doing all the work. But then I take my formula, break it down, and share it with you and teach you how to write, publish, and market your book to bestseller. And I have authors who have gone on to do 13 best-selling books now because they learned the formula. And some of them come back because they like the accountability and they get a discount for being returning authors. But some just go off to do their own thing. I'm happy for them. Completely happy for them. Get out there, share your story with the world. I have helped people change people's lives. Like, that's what I get up for. That's what I love.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I was going to be done, but the 700 books, what type of books were they?
So the majority of them tend to be coaching self-help books. Some of them are anthology books, and they're on different topics, grouping multiple authors together. But the majority of them are things like up-level your life, how to survive cancer, how to have a life after having a full stroke and being trapped in your body and having a 1% chance of living. How do you organize your home and feel better? How do you raise your children? How do you meditate? What is the meaning of life? How do you become a more spiritual person? How do you take care of yourself? How do you take care of others? Like, wide variety. Now, the weird ones that stand out, and we've got everything from 3-time silver medal Olympians to my 8-year-old granddaughter who have published best-selling books, everything in between. We have college deans and professors and coaches, therapists of every walk of life. Now, the ones that are a little more wild and stand out is we have one author who I'm trying to think of what you call it, but he's able to telepathically talk to horses. So his book is on communicating with horses. We have one about a woman who was in prison, and it was a generational sin kind of situation where even though her father, who was in prison, forsake God, and even though she was in prison and was forsaking God, God never forsook them. So her book was about that. But yeah, we have a wide.
You do have some interesting books out there.
Yeah, we have some that are
my bestseller.
Huh?
And you got some interesting books, and to make them a bestseller says a whole lot of things about your system.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the systems and marketing.
There are so many people who are underserved because the traditional publishing industry and even some of the hybrid publishers that are out there that still follow the old school publishing stuff, they'll tell people that come to me, they'll come to me and they'll say, is it okay if I do this book? Will you publish it for me? They wanted to change this. They wanted to change that. One example, I had a woman who came to me and she wrote a book about business for strippers. The people who offered to help her said, we'll only do it if you make it a business book. Have to remove all the stripper stuff from it. That's, you can't do that. So she came to me, she brought it to me. I'm like, I'm sure there are strippers out there who need to know how to manage their business, right? It's an underserved market. I don't see books about that anywhere because nobody else is willing to publish it. I'm going to publish your book and make it a bestseller. She's great. She's successful. She's speaking on stages and helping people left and right. But nobody else wanted to publish her book. There is an underserved market. We have a lot of those.
Listen to me, Kathy. Thank you so much for joining me and for sharing with your knowledge. My outcomes will have people come who actually want to write a book to actually come to you because it's more affordable and more logical. And there's more, and then you're a strategist. Marketing, book, best-selling, make more money. And here's what people have to understand. People understand. You don't want to go on Oprah Winfrey show, on any show, and have a great book and nothing else. Now you have this 15 minutes of fame that people are looking at you and they're interested, but they can buy a book. This is great. How about get an online course? How about get something else so they can go, wow. Now I can indulge in his stuff. I can listen to it, understand it, and I can be a part of him. Opposed to just reading a book. And it's great, but there's something else. And I'm happy that you got that is online courses. I started doing my online courses maybe, after the book. I didn't even have one for my first book. I just had a book out, and that was it, only the book. Then I started creating seminars and workshops based on that because I had to. People wanted more. I'm like, I don't have more. And I actually created. In your program, they get everything. That's impressive.
Yeah.
All right, Ms. Kathy, I'm not going to take this.
I'm not going to hide anything. I'm not holding any punches. I'm going to give it all to them. I want you to succeed. That makes me happy.
And I can feel your passion. All right, my dear. You take care and blessings, and then we'll talk soon. Guys, thank you guys so much. And please follow Kathy, okay? It's Kathy K Books and everything that she does is Kathy K. Then as I put a link on here for a 30% of discount. All right, guys. You guys take care and blessings. Bye for now.
Thank you for having me.